If we have a city, buildings without people staying in, without the traditional trades, artisans, that means it's like a body without soul.
And the last one in Penang Island now.
They're getting less and less performers in Penang. Yeah, people are just dying off.
How can we maximize the benefits of as a UNESCO heritage site for the local people and minimize the impact, the negative impacts? It's never easy.
Penang, an island in northwest Malaysia, has often been dubbed the Pearl of the Orient. At the heart of this pearl is Georgetown, a historic city packed with grand colonial buildings, pre-war shophouses, markets, clan houses, temples, churches and mosques, where street food hawkers, artisans and traditional shops ply their trade. For decades, a law controlling rent gave landlords little incentive to maintain or refurbish their property. As a result, many historic buildings were left to deteriorate and decay. But affordable rent allowed many to retain their way of life and livelihoods until 1997, when the government changed its mind.
A major blow to traditional crafts and tradespeople happened a few years before Georgetown got UNESCO World Heritage status, when the Malaysian government repealed the Rent Control Act.
By 2000, rent control was completely abolished. That led to surging rentals, forcing many traditional trades and craftspeople from buildings they had occupied for decades, leaving buildings not just derelict, but deserted.
We cannot go back. It's no turning point. We cannot lower the property price, because people bought one old house, shop house at 2 million. You can't ask them to sell at 200,000 anymore, right? And now other people are charging rental of 20,000. You can't ask them to charge 200.
But there was another way out. Those seeking to preserve the city's history and traditions believed they could protect Georgetown by getting it recognized as a World Heritage Site. It was a race against time.
Because of Rent Control Act, of the repeal of Rent Control Act, we have to start to prepare for UNESCO listing. Otherwise, people will start pulling down their buildings. So it's not that easy, and we have to do it very fast. That's the only way to preserve the whole area first.
In 2008, Georgetown, along with the southern city of Malacca, was jointly accorded World Heritage status. UNESCO described the cities as exceptional examples of multicultural trading towns in East and Southeast Asia, with unique cultures and architecture. The UN agency noted the two cities' combination of valuable tangible heritage, that is their buildings, and the intangible, their people. People like Ng Chai Tiam, who engraves traditional Chinese stone seals.
今年81岁了，我在1962年到1967年在香港读艺术系，攻读这个水墨画、刻印章啊这些课程啊。后来回来在槟城，就在槟城从事刻印章。写字、画画这样子的生意啦。目前我在槟城呢，已经最少做了超过50年。经过多年的磨练啊，我们的作品啊会更精彩咯，会更好咯。它不是说死板板的，所以有很多人问我，你什么时候退休？我说没有退休的，刻印章也是我的兴趣啦。
UNESCO status has seen a surge in interest in Georgetown among international visitors. and it has helped ensure the careful refurbishment and restoration of historic buildings. Its streets are crowded with tourists, its buildings gleaming with fresh coats of paint, its temples restored to their past glory. Boutique hotels and trendy cafes abound. At first sight, the challenges, some would say perils, that have come with UNESCO heritage status are not obvious. But gentrification is jeopardizing the very character of the city, the attributes that earned it UNESCO status in the first place. Dr. Ang Ming Chi heads the government agency tasked with overseeing Georgetown's heritage zone.
I think gentrification, this word, I think we can look at it as a neutral word. It can bring positive meaning to a town, because I think as long as you develop, but in a sustainable and controlled way, I can accept it. But over gentrification is terrible. We don't want that. I think it's very important for any cultural heritage site to have a balance of both built heritage conservations, hand in hand in the living heritage safeguarding. Georgetown, as a heritage city, a place where I grew up from, we see that, it's meaningful because people use this place, it gives us identity. The activities that we do day to day, we come to the temples, we go to the market. A lot of us work here, we get our supplies from the heritage town. I think all this must be balanced, not only from the tangible built heritage, but also the living heritage. So definitely it's very important to get the balance.
The Georgetown World Heritage Agency has ensured that historic buildings are restored to exacting standards, using traditional methods and materials. Preserving the human side, the intangible heritage, has proved harder. Today, it's a lot more difficult to find sign makers, traditional Chinese medicine shops, shoemakers, incense makers, the practitioners of traditional trades and crafts that made Georgetown a vibrant, living heritage city. And some crafts and trades have died out completely.
We did an inventory in 2011 to inventorize 92 streets and 5,505 buildings in Georgetown Heritage Site. We found there are 611 traditional trades and 300 over traditional artisans. But now I think maybe more than half is gone. So this is the biggest challenges that we have after UNESCO listing.
Traditional trades and craftspeople not only face rising rentals and competition for space. Many tradespeople and artisans have retired or passed away without finding younger people willing to continue these traditions. Sin Chu Po has been making products from rattan for around 60 years. His shop passed down from grandfather to father to him.
住在这边一条街有5间地少，伊人个是水储水食死啊，无生意无那真啊好，伊人卖大汉储水，甲了收掉啊啦，剩阮一间一间哦。
His family's main trade used to be making huge rattan baskets that locals used to ship goods to relatives in China, as well as cages for pigs and bumpers for protecting the hulls of boats.
無做這個物件誒，舊年咪龍總無做嘅，敢若是做鯨、做杜人安尼款爾。啊，當今換了，杜人無了，鯨無了，換做這個物件是了咯，係啊。
Now he also offers rattan weaving classes to tourists to earn some extra money, but it will all end with him.
無啦，無咩人接手呀，無人愛做這個頂嘅物件。
Seal engraver Ng Chai Tiam also says he never found anyone with the dedication, skill and desire to keep this craft alive after he's gone.
刻印章这个行业啊，它是怎么样的呢？它是易写啊，容易写，不过很难精通基础。你字要写得好，你写得不好， 你那个石头就刻出来也不好，为什么？你要先写嘛。我们历代传下来的字体啊，那个是专门刻印章的。那个你又要讲究到你要有书法的，他说你谢了马上去找饭吃，最好是不要谢。他说太难了，时间你要下功夫的时间很长。
Will be the last of his craft in Georgetown. These quaint trishaws remain a means of transport for locals in the historic core, as well as being tourist favourites. Georgetown's Heritage Authority has launched a program to refurbish all the city's trishaws to the benefit of trishaw maker and repairman Chu Yu Chun, the last of his kind in the city.
I come to work because my father sick, so call me back. I'm the number 4 generation. My shop is about 100 years. I repair the trishaw roughly about 35 years. I make the new trishaw and repair the hawker, tricycle, and bicycle. When I come to work, the time the trishaw roughly about 500. Nowadays, some trishaw men pass away, pension, and some trishaw destroyed. So now only left about 150. 35 years, I make about 100 trishaw. Now I already 65. Roughly before 70 pension. You not have so many energy to do it.
He never found anyone to learn and take over from him.
After a few years, maybe the trishaw spare part cannot find. Repair the trishaw.
Really?
When the time no spare part, how to do? Maybe can import from China.
Some trades and craftspeople, though, were successful in passing on their businesses and skills to the second, third, and even fourth generation of their families. And some aging artisans also found young apprentices eager to take on the mantle to keep these arts and crafts alive.
Penang Heritage Trust runs an apprenticeship program, matching masters with would-be apprentices.
When we started this in 2009, and at that time, actually, we got funding. So the original principle was that we got the artisans, we paid the artisans, and we paid the people that learn, but they have to practice. Then the response was not good because most of people just want to learn for fun or as a hobby. So eventually we changed the program like, okay, you come and learn, you pay for it. Yeah, the response is quite good.
Tong Wing Chong started out assisting Penang Heritage to undertake its inventory of traditional trades and crafts in Georgetown, sparking his interest. He then enrolled in the apprenticeship program and now makes a full-time living as a woodcarver.
I found that we do have a lot of nice and beautiful craft and artists work inside all these places. I feel that we lost something which is not in our life anymore, especially the decoration, the meaning, all these traditional things. So that makes me feel I want to pick up something. We can't just keep saying that we want to preserve, but actually we are not doing it. I wasn't an art student. I don't even have basic on wood carving or everything. I just very passionate and very like this traditional Chinese culture and art thing. So I went to this Sifu. Sifu, very kind. He said, oh, you're interested? Of course I can teach you.
Tong has a master's degree in folklore and folk culture.
My parents was like very worrying because they said how to make money or how to live with this skill, because everyone knowing this is dying. It's not really a lot of people ordering things. Even my mother is asking, how long will you take your time to just make one work? I said, depends, or sometimes 1 week, sometimes few months. They said, then how many money can you make from that? I send you to university to get high education, but end up just work as a woodwork carpenter. Or actually, people don't really difference wood carver and carpenter.
Tong says his biggest challenge is the availability of cheaper, mass-produced alternatives.
because the cost is higher than from machine made. So people, if they are not really collecting or understand, or they want the form of this art, they just need an item or a thing from this look traditional one. They can just buy or order from factory or even plastic. But really traditional things, they still got their market.
Tong uses social media platforms to showcase his work well beyond the confines of Georgetown and Malaysia. Some arts too have sought to expand beyond their original audiences to stay relevant and stay alive. Professor Tan Sui Beng had been studying Potehi puppetry for many years. She decided to try to keep the art form alive, helping the old masters, known affectionately as the aunties, to find apprentices from among her students.
Potehi is a type of glove puppet theatre. Yeah, you manipulate with the fingers. And it originated in Quanzhou in China, southern China. And it was brought here by puppeteers. And in the early 20th century, the form was performed in temples for temple gods during the birthdays of the deities. The Potehi is actually dying. I decided that it's important to localize the form because the young people actually do not understand the classical Hokkien anymore. And we need to use our local type of Hokkien and local languages and local characters, costumes, and so on to attract the younger generation. And we took the new performances out to the public outside of the temples so that it can attract people from different races. So the subtitles are just below the screen and they are in English or in Malay and Mandarin as well.
The troupe has sought to attract non-Chinese, not only as viewers, but also performers, like Jasniza Johari.
I've gone through some sort of evolution together with the team. I was like the side puppeteer, and then I had the role where I had to manipulate the puppet and also do the narration for the Malay character. And then we started to put in more Malay script, Malay language, Malay music and all that. So some of the input came from me. We've gone abroad, but it's really the response from the community here, especially in Georgetown, that is what I think drives me to, let's do more. Because it's very heartwarming to see people of different races, different backgrounds. They're coming in and they're really watching your show, and then they're like, hey, I really appreciate what you're doing.
Tan is now passing on the running of the troupe to the next generation.
Although one day when the old master, they are not around already, but somehow this part of the arts, we still able to sustain. We still able to perform. At least when someone, young generation come to ask you what is a Potehi, then we still got things to show them.
Adapting to changing tastes, expanding audiences and markets, a key to survival of Georgetown's traditional arts, crafts and trades. DC Wen is using the internet to make sure his family's 90-year-old shop selling traditional Chinese herbs and dried seafood remains a thriving business. And he's changing their approach in other ways too.
In the last 5 years, right before the pandemic, we started moving towards online. And but of course, during the pandemic is the one that speeds up the entire process. I guess that's how we're trying to reach to younger or different customers that we haven't reached before, across races, across culture, across of lifestyle. Chinese herbs are rather a very niche industry where people may not have the required knowledge if they want to come in and buy. So what we really did is we package in a size that's right for them with description in Chinese and English and simplified the whole process of buying throughout these years.
Despite getting a degree in business computing, Lee opted to stick with the family trade.
So we felt if we didn't do something, the legacy is lost, the sentimental value, or the things that over 3 generations has put in effort, and it's like wasted if we didn't do. And probably because I grew up here, I stay upstairs when I was a little kid. This city is like part of me.
It's not meaningful if the local community or local stakeholder doesn't aware that whatever that they do is important, not because I ask them to do. They should have the awareness that they are doing this for themselves, for the heritage they have received from their ancestors, and they want to pass it down to the next generation. We hope to do this more meaningful, more sustainable. And I'm quite glad we are on the right direction.
Some believe that aside from helping preserve and restore Georgetown's physical history, UNESCO status, and efforts of the heritage agencies and NGOs have helped crafts and tradespeople better appreciate the value of what they do.
On the positive side is that people will start to get alert that, oh, my trades is traditional trades. Otherwise, they just think that, oh, this is just my routine, my daily life, the business that I'm running every day, and this is something I earn for living, but they don't know that, oh, this is it's traditional trades on artisans or artists, right? So this is the positive side.
Firstly, I'm very lucky that I have this opportunity because not everyone has an age-old tradition, 70, 80 years old business for me to have a chance to be involved. I think the government did a lot of awareness through getting the crowd in. After 2008 onwards, after we get the UNESCO, I think crowd has increased. So we are happy we are part of the city.
Yeah, this is Anya. She is a Nyonya lady from Penang. I'm quite confident if we keep on the essence of Ombak Potehi, which is really reaching out to more people, a wider audience, diverse audience. If we keep to that essence, I think we can go far.
A wider audience is another key to the longevity of these traditional shops. Customers have a role to play too in keeping these businesses alive.
多數嚟請佢坐啊！嚟到地鐵見到我個貓樣，好歡喜，係啊！嗰啲老客仔帶啲孫女嚟介紹俾我哋認識，係啊！
91-year-old Wu Shikao inherited his sundry shop from his father and grandfather before him. He's now passing it on to his son and niece.
嗰啲老嘅帶啲孫女嚟，大家見面好歡喜，係啊！錢買唔到，係啊！有金錢買唔到咁嘅場面，嗰個興趣買唔到，係咁有錢都買唔到咁嘅興趣。 咁嘅場面，心情愉快些，冇有錢買唔到，係咁樣。
Haja Mohideen knows this feeling well. Malaysian Muslim families have been buying these traditional hats or songkoks from his shop for generations.
I'm doing this business for the past 65 years since I'm small. This and I inherited from my father. Actually, this is my father's shop. I'm doing this since I'm 12 years old. The regular customers, those for the 3-generation customers, they come and buy. The grandfather, son to son in their grandchildren, they come and buy from us. Now I do this work just to preserve the trade, and my customers ask me to make for them. So I'm still doing. Otherwise, I can take rest.
I'm a local guy. I've been patronized this shop since during the early 60s with my father. This shop is a legend, and this guy is a legend with the Penang guys and with the federal government too, with the ministers too. He's the only one that only make the best songkok in town.
Now I've got my son-in-law to take over. I'm training him in this work. So I hope he'll take it over. Otherwise, there'll be no songkok makers in Penang. Yes, I'm happy. I'm very happy. Very happy. At least they can remember me.
Georgetown's Heritage Authority is also trying to pass on the value of heritage to the next generation.
We are now preparing the programming with local schools We want to have like specific guided tours for small groups and to teach students that heritage is fun. Heritage is related to your life. So you can play a role in heritage safeguarding and transmissions. That is also something that UNESCO is encouraging us to do. I welcome the youth. We want to make cultural heritage, craft, food preparations, or even religious activities as a profession, as an artist that people respect. Then we will be able to attract more young people to come in and take it up as a full-time profession.
I see the outlook is quite positive because these are the skills that you can't earn or learn overnight, right? And the things made out of the traditional trades or craft is getting lesser and lesser, and going to become more and more expensive. And people will start to treasure them.
Lim believes other communities seeking World Heritage status should learn from the challenges and difficulties Georgetown has faced.
If we could have U-turn, go backwards and rewind, I think these are the things we should have done before that. We have, as I said, legislation that to protect the rentals and also the housing prices, and then also prepare houses at lower prices for the traditional trades and artisans.
Georgetown World Heritage is finding ways to cut the costs for owners to renovate and restore their protected buildings. It's also promoting the traditional trades through videos and profiles on social media, while NGOs like Penang Heritage Trust aim to foster apprenticeships and acknowledge living heritage practitioners. Some trades and crafts have already disappeared from the streets of Georgetown's heritage zone. More will inevitably die out with their last practitioners. Still, younger people willing to take on their families' legacies or eager to learn new skills, to create and to perform, can help ensure Georgetown won't just be a city of attractive historic buildings, but that it will remain one with a beating heart and a soul. For Assignment Asia, I'm Ryan Meltzer in Georgetown, Penang, Malaysia. Share your thoughts and contribute story ideas for future shows by contacting us on social media.